Okay, so this is now Course 1, Chapter 5. In Chapter 5, we're going to be discussing consumer behavior affected by external and internal factors. Internal factors are referring to things that are describing, say, one's personality. So the type of personality you have, the values, the attitude, the interests, the lifestyle. So all of those factors will be considered to be internal factors. This will also apply to the different age and the different needs during different ages. Now, the reference groups that we cover in Chapter 5 include a formal and informal version. Just one second. Sorry about that.
No problem.
It's just going to keep ringing. It's just one of those kind of phones.
Just going back to the internal, that describes the internal personal traits, but what's the external factors? Like,
we're gonna actually cover that as well. So
okay,
we're gonna cover that as well. There we go. Thankfully, that ringer's now shut off. So we're gonna first talk about our reference groups, and then we're gonna get into external as well. The formal groups that we consider that make influential difference upon you making a decision to where you want to live might be something to do with a social club or a religious organization. So maybe you're part of a big church and your whole family goes there and all your friends go there, so you want to live close to that location. Or you might be part of a social club, part of a hockey team, or part of a big league that's really important. You've been there for years and you want to stay connected. So that might be a factor of where you want to reside according to those locations.
Formal.
That's formal. Yeah. And then when we discuss informal, that's now just going to be speaking about people that you're friends with or neighbors you like. So if there's neighbors you like in a certain neighborhood and you don't want to move because of that, or you want to stay where they're moving or wherever they're upgrading, you're going to want to locate close to them or close to your friends, basically. Okay. Now, the consumer marketplace is made up of a whole bunch of sub-markets as well. So not only is it made up of different age, different needs, and your personality, lifestyle. Those are a few internal factors, but the actual marketplace is made up of many sub-markets itself. Now, so that divides income level, ethnic background, lifestyle, family structure, and age. So obviously you're going to want to be situated close to certain schools during a certain age, and you're going to be want to located to certain public transit during certain times of need of the living style. The target markets are usually geographical or non. It can be either one. So it all depends on the situation of what you're looking to target in terms of the market.
So target markets, if they ask a question, basically is it's what you want to target and go for when you're buying a place in a certain area.
Yeah, you have to remember that the book is always discussing a lot of the material with you as if it's discussing from a realtor's point of view.
Yeah.
And also discussing from how you view the customer or the consumer. So the target market is sometimes geographical in the sense that you'll only be interested in marketing in Oakville or Sarnia or wherever location you've picked. You're only interested in that. But the non-geographical kind of factors that you might consider, you might be marketing to a certain, say, there's a stall you set up at a fair or a carnival or some kind of social event or summer event. So that has nothing to do with the area. You're just really targeting people in general in that case. So it all depends how you're conducting that marketing at that time.
Okay.
The second property market, we talked about this a little bit. It says that the survey, even in the United States, says that the second property approximately is 40% of your resale market, and that's pretty. It's almost 50% in Canada too. It's very close to that same figure. So you would actually, every second person pretty much that you meet is wanting to buy a second property, not their first, and that's why you have to be so well versed in the mortgage requirements of that. Now, what also applies in Chapter 5 is we're looking for brand loyalty, culture, product appeal, and the internet. So brand loyalty, as you know, there's certain builders like Tridel, Great Gulf Homes. There's a couple of builders like Monarch that have been around for a very long time. So if you've been buying Monarch property or Tridel property for a long time, you might be very comfortable with those builders, and you might consistently just keep buying that property from the builder.
It also refers to appliances and everything else, right?
Yep, almost anything actually. You might just like Whirlpool. You might only like certain types of flooring, certain types of window blinds that have automated remotes. Anything.
I don't even think I picked up on the loyalty to a manufacturer of a building supplier. It was more of a supplies for appliances and stuff like that they were mentioning. And it's like, now I understand that. Yeah, builders, yes, definitely.
Definitely builders, because your brand loyalty is really consistent, and that's why builder sales offices kind of do the same structure over and over and over, because it works every time for them, and they're really consistent the way they present a new sale property and how they do their deposit structure, how they do the building cycle. People are used to it, and they're pretty comfortable with it. Culture is going to refer to a lot of different things. Obviously, one factor is for you to go down to Queen Street in Toronto. It's a very artsy culture. You're going to have more lofts with like a brick wall front. You're going to have a lot of different finishes. You're going to have a lot of factories that have been converted into lofts. So you're going to have a certain lifestyle cater to the certain culture of that area. Product appeal, of course, is the home staging, and that's where you have a lot of model suites, especially in the new builder homes. If you go to their sales offices, they usually have a model suite or a model kitchen or something like that, so that they can make you feel and kind of picture yourself in the sample of what you would be purchasing, of what price range. Now, the internet is probably the best tool you have working for you, because it actually allows you to get a lot of information, do your own research, utilize a lot of websites that are accredited, and MLS is one of them. MLS.ca is a great one. Lets you have a kind of an overview of what you'd be looking at for certain properties in terms of price. But you have to remember, you also want to place yourself in the situation of where consumers will be shopping. So you want to shop for property sometimes online as if you were doing it as a consumer. So you want to see what the consumers see, so when they talk to you, you have a situation where you can understand them a little bit better. Okay. And then Chapter 5 goes to discuss Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs.
Yeah, okay, so that's on the exam.
Yep, he's broken it down for you. The first one is your basic life essentials. You simply need a place to live, call home, go home, and rest, and do all the things you need to do. Your security need after that is where it's shelter and it's safety. So it's sheltering you from the weather, just from the outside world, giving you peace, giving you an escape, and it's obviously very safe if it's kept well and maintained properly. Social needs are companionship, your family, and your social interaction. So with these facts, you want to have community, you want to have people you're close to, and you want to be able to visit your family within a reasonable distance. Most people will live at least close to one relative or friend. Then you've got self-actualization, which is about your self-fulfillment and your creativity. So you'll find something like where we've got truck drivers in Brampton, and they own $1 million homes, just because it's all about status. They make 120 grand a year. They're not usually home, but they spend all their money into the house payment and nothing else, just so they can have status. Because they come from a background where they didn't have much, and that's one thing that I've noticed with one example that we looked at with another student. And creativity, of course, you can build yourself a house on the back of a lake, just the way you pictured it when you were a kid. So that's your creativity coming into play. And that's your self-actualization. So that's a need that you wanted to fulfill. So now how it applies to real estate is you've got Maslow talking about the first-time home buyers are going to pick it up as a necessity, as a shelter, as a safety. They're going to be more concerned about the price as a first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
Now, when you get older and you've sold a couple of properties and you start getting really comfortable, the money's not going to be a factor any longer, and you're going to be looking for totally other things. You're going to be looking for more comfort and more space, or more quietness, or more land, anything. But price won't be a factor. Money won't be a dominator in that case. But for a first-time home buyer, it certainly will be.
Okay. Hey, going back one step here, ego needs. I don't think we discussed that one.
Ego needs are extremely close to your self-actualization and fulfillment. but just slightly different, because the self-fulfillment and creativity could be just something that's personally just for you. It has nothing to do with society. The ego needs our status and personal accomplishment, which is the example of the truck drivers in Brampton who buy $1 million homes.
So then it turns into a self.
Yeah, the self-actualization part. I'm sorry, I wanted to break it up, but the self-actualization part is where you've done something that satisfies something you had in your mind about a property before you could buy it. So I mean, if you were 20 years old and you planned to have a cottage when you had a family, so that's something you wanted to fulfill, and you wanted a log cabin because you've seen it on TV growing up. That's something you could fulfill, and it could be part of your creativity when you bring in all of the things that you wanted to put into that property.
Okay.
Ego needs are simply you're buying it to show off, and you're buying it because you feel like you've earned it, and it's just really that you feel accomplished in the sense that you're now wanting to buy a $2 million home because you can.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So when we talk about him, Maslow incorporating incorporating real estate into the other factors like security and social levels, it does really it does match like a higher security and level of living as well, because you want to essentially move into an area, pay more money so you can feel safer. So you've got kids, you want to put them in the private schools in Oakville because you hear it's the safest and best. You're going to spend way more money, pay that premium to live out there so that you feel like they're in a safer neighborhood and they're going to grow up, with better people around them. So that's what that is, and it's also in line with your achievements as well. So that's in line, of course, of your status at work and your accomplishments, and you're also spending accordingly to that as well.
Okay.
So it says right here, the last part of our chapter 5 has a lot of emphasis on brokers and salespeople that have to really ensure that the clients and sellers together are inspecting properties extremely carefully, because when you're factoring all of these needs and you're factoring all of the marketing and the targeting, your fiduciary duties also require you to make sure that the property are inspected extremely well, beyond the fact that you've matched every goal that they've wanted, or everything that they require is now fulfilled in this property that you found for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. There's two here. In physiological.
Yep.
Did we hit that?
Yeah, we did. That's where we're talking about when you're down the line, when you're much older and you've accomplished yourself and you've bought a few houses, then the money is not a factor. Your money usually was a dominator only when you were starting off as a first-time home buyer. So for them, they look at price. If you deal with a first-time home buyer, they're very, very much focused on price.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's gonna. And they want a home, but they want it for basic needs, basic shelter, basic security, all of the basic reasons. Yeah. So that's the way Maslow describes it, and that's how that's how it's being applied in real estate. But once you've become older, it'll allow you to have a lot more freedom to say, you know what, I have this amount of money, and I don't really care for this area, but I do want to buy this other property for this other reason. So it's more spaced out, it's more private, it's a little further away from the city, and it's not too far from the hospitals if need be. So like the buying factor will be completely not related to money usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a short chapter.
Chapter 5 is pretty short. It's pretty concise actually. It's very, very concise. If you like, what we can do is also look at the questions in the back if you haven't done them yet. We can just go.
I've done all the questions throughout the whole book.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah, but that was one before I did the first exam too.
Right. And how do you feel? Did you have any other questions in Chapter 5 at all?
No. What I would do is just review this video that we're doing too, and just keep reviewing it until it sinks in. Okay.
Have you done also the multiple choice questions in the back as well?
Yeah, I've done everything I could possibly do in here.
Okay, and you're comfortable with those?
Yeah, I believe there were some things. See, there's some things here that it didn't cover. So I know target it did. Formal, informal didn't. Yeah, I think I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to end this video now for us.